What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since 2003 and starting to get cautiously optimistic about this Pistons team. The Detroit Pistons kicked off their West Coast trip that will span 4 games last night, and they actually ended up beating the Phoenix Suns by a score of 133 to 125. This was a great bounce back game after the Utah Jazz performance, and in this video I want to go through, highlight 3 players that I thought played exceptional last night, and then just talk about the game in general and kind of thoughts on the remainder of this West Coast trip. So, the first guy that we do need to bring up, of course, is Cade Cunningham, who had just another absolutely spectacular game as he continues to make his case for an all-star appearance. He finished the game last night with 28 points and 13 assists to go along with 2 steals, 2 blocks. He had 4 turnovers, which is nothing when you have 13 assists, so all good there. He was 9 of 19 from the floor, 3 of 8 from the three-point line, and 7 of 9 from the free throw line. Just another great game for Cade Cunningham. It feels like it has been weeks and weeks now since Cade Cunningham had even a subpar game. He's getting to the point where every game you can expect his 25 points, 10 assists, and him leaving his fingerprints all over the game. Last night he did exactly that. He had a couple huge clutch buckets as well, where at the very end of the game, when it was kind of back and forth and the Suns were getting back into it, he had a nice little left-handed baby hook over the top of Kevin Durant, and then a game-sealing dagger over top of KD and kind of a jab step pullback 3. Nothing but net, and that was game. All in all, was just another spectacular performance for Cade Cunningham. As of right now, the Pistons as a team are 12 and 17. When Cade plays, we are 11 and 14. I think that he's just such an instrumental part to the Pistons becoming what they have this year. I know that we can give all the credit in the world to guys like Beasley, Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., JB Bickerstaff coming in, and all of those guys do deserve their flowers. But in reality, one of, if not the biggest impact changes that we had over the summer is just the improvements from Cade Cunningham. His ability to shoot the pull-up 3 has been huge, and his ability to be a guy that we can go to in clutch situations like last night has been huge. The Pistons rely on Cade Cunningham every single night, and he has really been getting it done as of late. So, the next guy that I do want to talk about is Jaylen Duren, because I felt like Jaylen Duren played one of his best games of the year last night, which is great to say. It's no secret that Jaylen Duren has been off to a start of the year that is very disappointing for people like myself who have high expectations and believe in Jaylen Duren, and I still do, and the reason why I still do is because of games like last night. Jaylen Duren finished the game last night with 17 points and 11 boards in 34 minutes. He was 7 of 7 from the field. I think all 7 of those were dunks. It felt like that anyways. Tons of lobs, great vertical threat. He was 3 of 5 from the free throw line, which is also encouraging because at the very end of the game, or towards the end of the game, maybe 3 minutes left, the Suns actually decided to employ hack-a-Duren, very similar to what we saw many years ago when teams would intentionally foul Andre Drummond, or you can go all the way back to the Hack-a-Shaq days. You guys know the general concept. They decided to intentionally foul Jalen Duren when we were up by 5 points, I believe, up by 3 or 5 points with a couple minutes left, and Jalen Duren stepped up to the stripe and knocked them both down. That was very, very good for me to see because Jalen Duren, his rookie year, was a bad free throw shooter. His second year, last season, he became a very good free throw shooter, above average for a big, where he was near 80%. And this year, he's back down to below 60. So the fact that he was able to walk up and knock down 2 free throws in a critical situation where the Suns were seeking that out, that means a lot to me. I think that really kind of shows that Jaylen Duren was very locked in last night, and it shows in the stat sheet as he finished with 17 points and 11 rebounds. That should be a regular stat line for Jaylen Duren. Of course, his averages are nowhere near that as of right now, but I think the game that we saw last night from Jaylen Duren can be a normal Jaylen Duren game. He is good enough to do that. He is young enough that the potential is still there. I'm not giving up hope on Jaylen Duren at all, and reasons for that are because of games like last night. And the next guy that I do want to talk about is going to be Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey missed the 2 games previously before this one with knee soreness, and he came back looking like he never skipped a beat. He finished the game last night with 20 points, 8 boards, and 8 assists. He was 7 of 14 from the field goal and 4 of 6 from the three-point line, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. All in all, a really, really good game for Jaden Ivey. At the very start of the game in the first quarter, Jaden Ivey got us like 4 extra possessions, whether that be from steals, offensive rebounds. He was just really doing a lot of things that sometimes we don't see Jaden Ivey doing. He was really getting after it, getting extra possessions, as I mentioned, whether it meant from offensive rebounds, which isn't exactly always his game, and just kind of unique stuff. He played a really, really good game. He shot the ball really, really well. 4 of 6 from the three-point line. It's something that's very encouraging for Jaden Ivey. I know that going back to when we drafted him, some fans were concerned about the fit between him and Cade Cunningham, and the X factor to that whole equation is Jaden Ivey's ability to shoot the ball. And when he shot the ball last night, a lot of them you knew they were going in the second he released it. So very, very happy with Jaden Ivey's return to the lineup. Really encouraging stuff. Played a really, really good game, and very happy to have him back. Outside of that, it really felt like everybody played their part last night. We had 8 or 7 players in double figures. We had everybody in the rotation scoring a couple buckets. It was just a really, really good game. Paul Reed also played a good game in the absence of Isaiah Stewart again. He didn't have that many minutes, only 14, but when he was out there, it felt like he did a pretty good job, knocked down a couple jumpers, and just did what you would hope that somebody who is our third-string center stepping up into the second team would do. So really, really happy with last night's performance. It's pretty encouraging because the game that we played against the Jazz was kind of a punch in the gut. I probably didn't feel as bad about that Jazz game as a lot of people within the Pistons fan base did, but that's just the NBA for you. That's the NBA, especially in 2024 where teams are shooting a lot of threes. There's a lot of variance from that. Some nights you're going to come out flat against the Utah Jazz and get lit up, and other nights you're going to walk into Kevin Durant's building and pop them. That's just the NBA for you. And to evaluate this team, I feel like it's very important to zoom out and not evaluate games on a game-by-game basis. And as of right now, I'm pretty happy with how the team is looking. I think that the rest of this West Coast trip is going to be very, very important as the Pistons currently sit in the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference. It's no secret, West Coast trips are hard. Not only are the teams out west very good and better than the teams in the East, it's just hard to be away from home for that long period of time. Traveling a lot, of course, especially during the holidays. So really, really hoping that we can even just get 1 or 2 more games on this 4-game road trip. If we can walk away from this West Coast trip 2-2, I'd be happy. If we can walk away from this West Coast trip being 3-1 out of those 4 games, I would be ecstatic. So let me know what you guys think, and we'll catch up soon.